Hi everyone, welcome to the video. Last week I told you guys how I broke my own rule and it slowed down the recovery of my back. My back is now mostly better, but for some reason it's now slightly sore on the other side. Before it was sore on my back side, on my left side over here. Now it's slightly sore down here on my right side, but it's only very minor. And also I think it's related to what I was talking about in my last video about how I have a bit of an anterior pelvic tilt. So even though last video I said I have a rule where I don't train if it's sore, I'm going to break that rule again today, because I think if I train I can help to fix my anterior pelvic tilt. But taking a full week off and also taking a few weeks to train light weights definitely helped me to recover. I did a proper session yesterday, upper body session, where I was using the same weights as before, even slightly increasing on some sessions, and my back felt good. Today I'm going to do a lower body session, still being slightly careful but returning mostly back to weights I was using before. And I'm also going to tell you guys something I learnt in my week off. So it's now the next day and I'll get straight into it. The thing I learnt from the week off, or actually the couple of weeks where I took it light weights, including 1 week fully off from the gym, what I learnt was that I haven't been taking recovery seriously. I used to, when I was in my 20s, especially in my mid-20s, I was always stretching after my workouts, focusing on sleep. But the main thing that I've stopped doing is stretching. I still do some stretches here and there, such as the hip flexor stretch, but I haven't been doing it enough. And I've neglected most of the other stretches, which I think I've started to notice now. I probably should be stretching now than I was before, but I was actually stretching more in my 20s than I was now. So that's what I've learned, is that I've neglected stretching, especially stretching my hip flexor, stretching my lower back, and just stretching in general after my workouts. For example, if I train chest, I used to always stretch my chest afterwards. Or if I trained back or legs, I would stretch back or legs afterwards. It's very sunny here, let me put my hat on. But now I hardly ever stretch. So that's what I learned from that week off. And I really want to get back into stretching. I did a few stretches yesterday. I didn't film much. I think I would have showed you guys already. I only filmed the RDL, which is good for glutes and hamstrings. And I also did Bulgarian squats and a side step cable exercise for abs. If I have a video from previous times, I'll put it up now. It's a pretty short workout, but today my glutes, hamstrings are a bit sore, quads a little bit sore, and my back feels fantastic today. I think the stretching of the hip flexors, stretching of the lower back, strengthening of the glutes and the hamstrings is definitely helping. So that's what I'm going to try and do from now on. Stretch more regularly, focus on recovery, try and sleep better, try and go to bed a little bit earlier, and hopefully that helps me recover and not have any more strains or any more issues, or at least minimize pains or issues in the future. It is now 2 days later and time for an upper body session. I started off with dumbbell bench press. I hadn't done this for around 3 weeks or so. I used 25 kilograms and I did 3 sets of 8 reps, which I was pretty happy about because that's the same that I did last time around 3 weeks ago. So I didn't lose any strength, even though I was taking it easy and letting my back rest a bit. I could have gone a little bit slow on the way down, but overall I'm pretty happy with my form here. I'm making sure that I'm keeping my elbows at around about a 45-degree angle to my torso. And I'm also keeping my shoulders back and down to take the shoulders out of the movement as much as possible and focus mainly on chest. The next exercise I did was seated row. I'm using a wide grip bar here with a neutral grip. Usually I use a slightly narrower bar, but this one was extra wide, which is good for the rear delts, which I'm trying to hit on this exercise as well as my upper back. I'm trying to reach forward at the end of the rep there to get a bit of a stretch, which helps with hypertrophy, and I'm holding the contraction right here for around a second or so. When I used to do this exercise, I used a straight bar, not a bar with a neutral grip like this, but there's not enough space here. If I use a straight bar, it hits the mirror, but this grip also works fine. On to the next exercise, I did seated lateral raise, which I showed in one of my previous videos. Usually I use dumbbells or cables, but I'm trying to switch it up a bit here. For this one, I did 3 sets of 10, unlike the previous 2 exercises where I did 3 sets of 8. For isolation exercises, I usually do less weight and more reps because I'm purely focused on hypertrophy, not strength, because it's only one joint moving. Again, for this one, I could have gone slightly slower on the way down. The last few reps here, I was focusing on it, but not as much for the first few reps. And the weight I was using here was 20 kilograms. Now for the 4th exercise, I did lat pull down. I haven't done any vertical pulling movements for the past couple of weeks, such as pull downs or pull ups, mainly because I felt like it strained my back a little bit when I was letting it go easy. But today I started doing pull downs again. I'm using quite a light weight because of that. I don't want to strain it, even though it is feeling 100% better now. I'm still slightly concerned on giving it a bit more time just to make sure it is actually 100%. So I'm going pretty slow on this exercise, both on the way down, but especially on the way up there to really control it. I'm also trying to keep my shoulders down throughout the exercise to maintain scapular control. This is the first time I've done this exercise. I saw it in one of Athlean X's YouTube videos, one where he was talking about ab exercises for people with lower back pain. This is a great exercise for that because it targets the abs without using the hip flexors too much. Because if you have anterior pelvic tilt, you want to strengthen the abs and stretch out the hip flexors, not strengthen them. So this is a great option for anyone who has back pain when doing ab exercises. I don't have back pain when I'm doing ab exercises, but I'm still choosing it to try and strengthen my abs without strengthening my hip flexors. Then I moved on to the last exercise for the day, which was dumbbell shrugs. Another movement which I've neglected over the past, months really, not even weeks. And I have noticed my upper traps have been lagging a bit compared to other muscle groups. So I did this to try and bring them up a bit. For this exercise, I did 15 kilograms and I only did 2 sets for 12 reps. Right, I had a good workout. It's good to be back in the gym and good to be back to normal workouts. By normal, I mean lifting normal weights. What I mean is lifting weights similar to before. Hopefully I can find a bit of a structure with my workout plan again. My current job, I'm working casual, so my shifts change every week, which has made it hard for me to establish a routine. So I'm going to try and get more back into a common weekly training routine. And another thing I actually learned from that week off is that if you're sleeping well and you're eating well, by that I mean eating enough protein, then your muscle and your strength, it doesn't disappear straight away. Even after 1 week, 2 weeks, I didn't really notice a difference. I have heard studies, or at least someone say that muscle loss doesn't really start until after 2 weeks of not training. So if you do get some kind of injury, it's best to rest until it's better and not let the worry of losing muscle, losing strength, make you lift too heavy weights and get injured even more, because I want to be doing this for a long time. So health is number one. And another thing it's made me do is I've focused, become more intentional when I'm training on the muscle that I'm working. I'm really trying to connect to that muscle in my mind and maintain good form throughout the entire exercise to increase effectiveness and also decrease the chance of any injuries. Anyway guys, thanks for watching the video. If you liked it, make sure you click the like button and I will see you guys next time.